You probably have experienced this before. A financial advisor shows you how to put aside some amount of money every month, you make 6% profit on that in investment life insurance, and you will be a millionaire before retirement. Or let's be concrete, if you invest every month 100 euros for the time space of 40 years, you put in only 48,000, but your saved amount will be 196,857 euros. Where is the problem? It is not enough. Another factor comes into the game, inflation. Let's say that a kilogram of potatoes costs 1 euro. What happens is that 2 times as many potatoes are produced than the last year. But the number of people who want to eat them stayed the same. The producers have to sell what they produced. And to gain the interest of the customers, they will have to lower the prices. Reverse example. A kilogram of potatoes costed 1 euro. But what happens is that the harvest is bad and only half of the amount from the last year grows. But the number of the people who want to eat them still stays the same. There will be a competition between customers, which will lead to raising of prices. The moral? If there are a few potatoes, they are expensive. If there are many potatoes, they are cheap. It works similarly with money. If there is little money, it is expensive. If there is a lot of money, it is cheap. Inflation means that there is a lot of money and their value decreases. The main reason for this is that banks put into the circulation more money than the real need is. In 1917, you could have bought Ford T for $500. In 2017, you would give $4,500 for a Ford Focus in the basic configuration. That is 29 times more. Is the sum of 200,000 still warming you by the heart? But it gets worse than it seems. The official rates of inflation in the last years aren't too big. But let's see how the inflation is calculated. If we want to count the inflation of the price of a potato, we divide this year's price by the last year's price and we find out the percentage that it is more expensive. This is how the inflation is counted in reality, but they put into calculation all kinds of goods that we together call a market basket. We divide this year's basket by the last year's basket and we have the inflation rate. The problem is that the market basket does not in reality express the buying habits of a real customer. In reality, everyone has his own market basket depending on what he actually buys. That includes mainly food, rent, utilities. In my experience, the real inflation is somewhere around 10%. Think once more about the great mutual funds that will make you 6% per annum. Let's deduct the inflation that is diminishing its worth by 10% a year. It makes a loss of 4% a year. Do you know how that example with saving up 100 euros monthly for 40 years would look like if we talk about purchasing power? Your money would only have 48% of the purchasing power of those deposited. So you put in 48,000 euros, you have 196,857 euros, and you can afford to buy with it the same as today with 23,000. Do you think that it is enough for tens of years of retirement? And honestly, do you at least save those 100 euros monthly for 40 years, or you don't do even that? In Slovakia, people keep 69% of their money in banks where they typically get 0% interest, and on top of that, they pay fees. In the EU 15 countries, it is only 31%. Do you now think it is bad enough? Let's consider one more thing, that if you now go to the retirement, in Slovakia you get around 65% of your net salary that you have been earning. Can you survive if you will have 1/3 of the money less? And what will happen in the next decades is that there will be less working people paying the levies and more retired people receiving them. The result? Will we get 20 or 30% of the salary? And that is still good. In Europe, there are 90% of the world's social benefits being paid, while it has only 10% of the inhabitants of the earth. If you don't take care of your retirement yourself, you will hardly survive on that. And if you will invest where the inflation eats up all the profits, you won't be much better. But I promise to always talk both about positives and negatives. Investing through regular savings in mutual funds, whether directly or through an insurance company, has a big advantage. You have to do it. You cannot just skip a payment. So if you don't have the discipline to regularly set aside money, these products will force you to have saved at least something. The mutual funds will never give you freedom, but what they can do is to help you create a financial reserve that can be useful to you. But as I said in the first video, in order to reach freedom in 10 years, you have to make profit at least 25% over the inflation. In the next video, I will show you the smartest way how to do that I found.